What's happening, friends? Welcome to Unlocked. It's a Palindrome Week, episode 414. My favorite kind of episode is the Palindrome episode. We've got plenty to cover this week. My thoughts on Afterparty, the cool new comedic adventure game coming up from the makers of Oxenfree. We've got Brandin Tyrell emerging from the depths of Aroa, to give us his final take on Ghost Recon Breakpoint. Mm-hmm. We've got some PS5 news, which we'll talk about in the context of Xbox Scarlett and what that could mean for the next generation of video games. Big news for Doom Eternal. We'll cover that and plenty more coming up on Podcast Unlocked. I just have to find this thing, the little video graphic. Enjoy.
Podcast Unlocked.
I think all of that picked up on Mike.
Brandon.
I don't think it did.
That was awful. If you heard the bones crunching, that was our senior editor, Brandin Tyrell, who I think is secretly a Terminator.
Yeah.
Just like cracking his endoskeleton.
I'm going to be in so many video games next year.
Awful.
Gross
sound.
I've been in a capture bay for like 2
See a
years straight.
chiropractor. My God.
You've also been keeping it pretty dark. Are you secretly like a ghoul or something?
It's. Have you been in there?
October?
It's. I need to get this closer. It is like 90 degrees.
It's
in
awful.
there, so
It's real bad.
I keep the lights off because it helps just a tad.
I couldn't tell if it was you. I was like,
degrees.
is that Brandon in there?
Yeah.
What's happening?
Ryan McCaffrey here, Brandin Tyrell to my left, to his left, Miranda Sanchez.
Hello.
And the great Mark Medina to my right today. Just mixing it up a little bit. Taking the Destin chair.
Bam!
And I was saying, we got to do the honorary
Gotta
bam.
do it. The honorary BAM. Lots to get to. Brandin, let's start with Ghost Recon Breakpoint. This is one of the major fall releases. It's already here. It kind of
I hear.
Kind of snuck up a little bit.
Yeah, that's the weird thing. They did the early access sort of if you buy the premium version or the next level up version. You get to play it. It was something crazy, like 4 days early.
Yeah, October 1st.
Yeah.
I'm not a fan, just in general, of the pay more to play early thing, but please continue.
I
That's
don't
neither
really
here nor
care
there.
if that's how you want to spend your money. But
I guess. It doesn't really affect
It does
me.
make the job harder for the review.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Remember when Anthem came out like 6 times? Because it was like,
I do, actually. So Ghost Recon, it is right in line with what Ubisoft has been doing the last couple years.
What does that
The
mean?
last decade, really. They
Fun
have
co-op open world.
About sounding like a game that I don't really want to play. Though I do like those things.
they have their 2 arenas, right? They have their competitive sort of game as service with For Honor and Rainbow Six, and then by and large, their really other major sort of tentpole is the open world game that we've played in The Division and now Ghost Recon and Assassin's Creed, and there's another one.
But at least Assassin's
Cry.
But
has
yeah,
pivoted to like becoming an open world role-playing
That
game.
was like
so
the
that's
most
the thing.
Sorry, that was like the most interesting Ubisoft game I've seen in a long time that I actually wanted to play, and I did play.
sorry, which one?
Odyssey.
Assassin's Creed Odyssey.
Oh, what a game.
I reviewed it, gave it a 9.2. I think it's the best game in the series because it does what it wants to do really, really well, which is be an open world RPG with a ton of personality.
But how about Ghost Recon?
Ghost Recon is an open world RPG that doesn't really know what it's doing. The Ghost Recon series has always been about that sort of like stealth tactical play. And here they really sort of, which admittedly can be fun. If you enjoy the Ubisoft open world experience, that's Ghost Recon. Like you're lots of outposts to drop, lots of so many collectibles to find. Their open worlds are always beautiful, always beautiful. The lighting's on point. It's in this weird mix between a Ghost Recon game and a Division game with elements of all their other series thrown in. It really seemed like they didn't really know how to make it unique and give it its own personality.
Does it just feel like it's like focus test the game?
It sort of is.
too
Like
harsh to
I
say?
said in my review in progress, that it feels like the Ubisoft sampler platter. There really is just like elements from every single game in here.
And not that that's a
that they do.
bad thing per se.
The elements themselves are fine. I mean, there's been a huge uproar online about the microtransactions, which I don't particularly feel are particularly gross or predatory. I know there's a lot of concern with like, well, they make the game artificially grindy and then give you like battle passes.
The
and it's
time saver.
It's the same conversation we had with Assassin's Creed Odyssey as well. I don't feel like you really need time savers, but if you're, you know, a mother of 3 or a father of 3 and you only play for 2 hours after work, 2 nights a week, like maybe that's something you're interested in. And if that's how you want to spend your money, like early access, totally fine with it. As long as they don't penalize the rest of the players.
Exactly.
Which I don't feel that they do. There are things that you can only buy with stuff, but like it's 2019. That's most of the games out now. The story itself is fine. It is a serviceable story. Jon Bernthal was obviously the big marketing push this time around.
Yeah.
And if you seen or know who Jon Bernthal is, he plays Jon Bernthal
really
well.
We had, Mark and I had gotten the vibe, at least I was very vocal about it because I did the preview, that the story was nonsensibly bad.
It is fine. Like
fine.
It is one of those Tom Clancy's. We had this conversation yesterday. It's a Tom Clancy ripped from the headlines. Fear of surveillance and artificial intelligence and drones and the future of warfare and terrorism and warfare sort of merging together. It's fine. Like
sounds very generic.
Yeah, it is so like forgettable, especially because the mission structure of the game is go press this button or find this person or kill this person at outpost A. You go and get intel and discover clues, and then you go to B and then C, and then you finally meet up at D and do the thing that you're supposed to be doing, and then you go get your cutscene. But in the half hour to hour between the two cutscenes, I'm like, yeah, wait, who is this person again? This is the CEO of the tech company, not the head programmer, and it's really forgettable. Bernthal really is the best part, but he's used sparingly.
Yeah.
He usually comes in like flashback cutscenes.
I mean, we were talking in the office that even we kind of got into this conversation about, how you feel about the game and how, I think we were both on the same page that Clancy games, when they first came around on the original Xbox, really innovated in the gameplay space. Like they were really known for pushing things. I mean, Splinter Cell pushed into, did stealth so well and pushed technology in the form of the lighting was incredible. And the original Ghost Recon was this just sprawling outdoor one-shot, one-kill game, and Rainbow Six
and
was
that's
this
sort of what they're
tight
selling.
planning, close quarter thing. And but the stories in even in all the Clancy games, pretty much always been
it's
super forgettable. Even
military warfare, like
even Splinter Cell Chaos Theory, one of my favorite games of all time, and I think absolutely the best Clancy game ever made. I can't even tell you what the story. It was the same exact thing you just said.
Well, I mean,
Division was kind of the same
deal.
It was when H1N1 was like a big deal, and so it was like Black Friday and this disease. You know.
I forgot about H1N1.
I know.
And I mean, even if you look at the Clancy films, right, like the Jack Ryan series, they're ripped from the headlines. Like there's a terrorist that brought a nuke onto American soil, or there's an assassination plot against the president. Doesn't matter who's playing Jack Ryan. It's you kind of get it, right?
Yeah.
Same like a Bond movie. I really enjoy Bond movies, but it doesn't really matter. Like we know what's going to happen, right?
I just want to see the cool spy stuff.
Yeah, that's pretty much it. But so the problem with Ghost Recon is it doesn't. I feel like it never really finds a direction that it wants to go. Or if it did, it was mandated that it brings in all these other elements, because you have the games as service elements in there with raids, which the entire game you're told to get to gear score 150. There is gear score now, just like an MMO and like Division.
Or Destiny, yeah.
Or Destiny, yeah. And so you get to gear score 150 and you're like, all right, time to drop this big robot thing, basically a Metal Gear, I imagine. But the raid's not out yet. So
you just get there and nothing happens.
Yeah. And I'm fine with that, right? Like, okay, a game as a service, I understand. Like, this is post-launch content. But the entire game, they're telling you about raids, and there's the NPC is like, come talk to me when you're ready to join the raid. And I was like, I'm ready to join the raid.
You get to the end of the rainbow and there's no gold there.
And they're like,
we're not ready.
They're like, okay, here's the deal. Bad stuff is happening. Get out there and good luck, soldier. And then it's just like, wait for it to come out. The PvP mode is super forgettable. It is 2 modes. One is deathmatch. One is basically sabotage. It's like Counter-Strike, plant defend. I don't know. It's all over the place. It really like pulls in elements from everything to see what sticks, but it loses the element that made it really good in the first place.
Is it fair to call it a jack of all trades, master of none.
Jack Ryan of all trades.
Oh,
Hey.
yeah,
Nailed it.
that's the thing.
Yeah, I mean that would be a fair assessment.
I remember we were talking the other day. You were saying that it's super weird that the game has like so like in Division you have a gear score, you get stronger. That's how it works. Where in this one you have a gear score, you get stronger, but everything's still just one hit kill if you get him
To the head.
Well, so I am playing on default difficulties, and I'm not sure if that is an element of the default difficulty. I don't think it is. I think they're keeping that in there because they're still playing to that fantasy of the one shot, one kill. If you are skillful enough and you are enough of a gun artist, really, you can kill a person when one headshot. And like, it's ridiculous. The very opening hour of the game, they throw you against like end game level guys, and you're supposed to be afraid and run away. But I had an assault rifle and just headshotted 7 of them, and I was like, "Oh, okay, well that solves that." So the majority of the game is really just go to an outpost, hide, mark it all up, and then go in and headshot. So
Did you play on guided mode or?
I did play on guided mode. There is an optional like intel mode where you're supposed to discover clues that lead
I
you
liked
to
that
the
when
next
we
thing.
played.
That's how we played it.
Yeah.
And that's cool, not for a review, but that's
Sure.
cool. Like I don't have any illusions that that I would have been able to finish the review at a decent pace had I been having to go around and find clues and not have waypoints.
We played for like what 4 hours. I think we did like 1 or 2 missions.
Yeah.
because it does take a lot long. You have to question people and do stuff like that.
But here's what I think is
It
really
seems like it get a little bit tedious after a while too.
it's very tedious. And that's what's crazy is like the story is weak up front just because you're introduced to a dozen different characters that all have some weird stake in this sort of tech utopia that's gone wrong. So the story is weak up front, but I actually really enjoyed the gameplay up front because it's a Ubisoft open world game.
Sure.
And then there's this like great game, good gameplay, sort of weak story. And then towards the end of the game, the balance shifts and the story starts ramping up and picking up. But by then the gameplay is so just overdone.
You've done the
Yeah,
same thing
I've
a million
done it.
times.
Yeah.
So what I'd like to ask you is, how do you feel? Because I know this is a different game, and Ubisoft's been trying to very much position it as this is not Wildlands 2, but we've had 2 Ghost Recons in this kind of mold now.
Sure. Yeah.
Do you want to see Ghost Recon try to reinvent itself in the next generation, or do you think that there's more to be done with this style of game that they're doing now?
It's a great question. And the answer is at this point, I'm not sure. Yes, obviously, I would like to see them innovate. It's weird because Breakpoint really doesn't have its own identity in that it's supposed to be this sneaky tactical game, and yet you're encouraged in the menus to play it in co-op. So, I mean, it's weird because it is optimized for co-op, and then what happens is, how many times are you going to get 4 players to all crouch down, mark their targets, and snipe them all at the same time? Which you can do, and when it happens, it's amazing.
They have the sync shot.
They have the sync shot, and you can actually. There are drones now that you can throw out, and they sync up for you if you're playing alone. So you can actually take down 4 guys at the same time. All that stuff is really cool, but the majority of it is just like, oh, my buddy's in a helicopter. He's just going to rain death down on this base, and I'm going to run in and press the button. So I don't know. Obviously, I think Ghost Recon should innovate next time. I think what they've presented with Breakpoint has already been done, really, with The Division and Far Cry.
And I think for me, that's, again, I haven't played nearly as much. You ended up you're about 40 hours.
Yeah, I finished the story after about 40 hours.
Okay.
I've put several more in on PvP just to do my due diligence. But
so I think for me, as somebody who, I mean, I've been a fan of the Clancy games, again, since the original Xbox, when we were just living, sleeping, eating, breathing them all. And they've always had their own very distinct identity, with Splinter Cell and I said Ghost Recon with the just, quiet outdoor, shoot a guy from a mile away thing.
It was Ubisoft's like stealth action game.
Right. And I think that's what frustrates me about Breakpoint. Not that it's a bad game, and we're not saying that at all, but that it doesn't have a distinct identity anymore the way that, Splinter Cell does, but Splinter Cell's been out of the game for now, we're going on 6 years without Splinter Cell. Rainbow Six, to its credit, absolutely has an identity, and Siege has been strong for now it's going on 5 years. Division, I guess there's an identity there. I mean, it's
their prototypical game as service game. It's their answer
their
to Destiny.
MMO.
But so that's for me. I am hoping that in the next generation, which we're going to talk more about in a couple minutes, that Ghost Recon does throw all this out and reinvent itself and find and really grab onto a distinct identity.
I'm not sure what that niche is though right now, actually. And maybe they're not banking on this being that tactical stealth espionage game that it's sort of been known as, because maybe we're going to get a new Splinter Cell next gen. I hope so. I don't know. But I have no idea where the series goes from here, because it overlaps with so many other elements of all their other games that it just ends up being okay.
Yeah. All right. Well, there it is. And your final review, I mean, we're recording this on Tuesday, this video. You should be seeing or listening to this by the end of the day on Tuesday. So
final review will go up Wednesday.
Okay.
Probably late afternoon or early evening.
Got to edit the video, the whole production thing.
Like once I have my opinion and everything is written and the score is down, then the actual work starts and we have to do all the capture and then the video gets edited. So it's a bit of a production, but look for it late Wednesday.
Fantastic. All right. Real quick, I just want to mention, I went and played Afterparty, which is completely different than Ghost Recon in every way.
That's what it's doing.
Yeah. It's from Night School Studio, the makers of Oxenfree. So if you played Oxenfree, you're going to be right at home here. It is a adventure game about two college-age friends who find themselves, they figure out that they're dead and in hell. And they're like, well, they've basically learned that if they can outdrink Satan at bars, they can escape hell and be alive again. So you don't know why they died, how they died. I played the first about 2 hours and really had a good time with it. It gave me a lot of old school LucasArts adventure game vibes. Yeah. Now, granted, it's not at all. There are no object-based puzzles to solve. It's all dialogue, similar to how Oxenfree was. But the sort of the tone, the style, even the fact that you're just sort of more or less on a 2D plane, like there's a lot of classic LucasArts elements to it. So yeah, I had a really good time with it. I think that's again launching into Game Pass at the end of the month. So it's another one to keep on your radar.
Great Halloween game if you're not looking for something spooky.
Yes.
Yeah, and that style is really cool too.
Yeah.
It's not your traditional Old Testament fire and brimstone.
No,
it is super colorful and kind of dark. And
it's kind of like the art style is a little, speaking of LucasArts, I feel like a little reminiscent of Grim Fandango, actually. You know, I know both dealt with kind of the land of the dead.
Sure.
But yeah, even the sort of color and style of it is in the same way too. So speaking of Afterparty, IGN Unfiltered returns today, actually, we're in the new set right behind us here, the bar arcade setup, shooting there there's a working tap, we had beers.
I mean,
and
it's so perfect with Afterparty.
I know. It turns out Unfiltered was a very prescient name. Like it was really worked out well. Just took us a while to find the right set. But,
right.
And Sean Krankel of Night School Studio, creator of Oxenfree and Afterparty, is my guest. The fact that the Unfiltered interview and the preview embargo that actually worked out to be a freak coincidence. Did not plan it that way. But yeah, Sean came in a couple weeks ago. We had a great time. His career is really interesting. He got his start working at on an Aaron Spelling teenage soap opera in the late 90s.
Did he meet Tori Spelling?
Just you'll have to listen to the interview to find out. And yeah, ended up working for Disney and he was doing this weird you got to hear the description of this platformer that Microsoft had greenlit when he was working at Universal. Yeah, he's had quite an interesting ride. So I encourage you to check out Unfiltered. I guess I'll throw the audio on the end of this episode, which I've been doing. But please go check out the video because it really looks great.
The new set looks really cool.
looks
and
really
new
good.
Logo.
The new logo looks awesome.
Yeah.
We even got motion graphics of
it's a real thing now.
It's a real thing and not just like my little backroom garage pet project.
You stopped filming it on a camcorder.
Yeah, exactly. Or on a real camera now, not an iPhone. So please check that out. That's the end of my shameless self-promotion. Now, let's talk about, so we're about 20-something minutes into the show.
God, that was a long segment.
I know, there was a lot of ground to cover with Ghost Recon, and poor Miranda and Mark have been sitting there patiently waiting.
Oh, good.
Because let's talk about something we can all talk about, which is the next generation of consoles.
They're coming,
They're coming.
whether you want them to or not.
But basically, I mean, it's October 8th right now. We are effectively T-minus either 13 months or 12 months, probably, like right about there.
Yeah.
12 to
I'd
13
say
months.
probably around
I'd
13.
imagine November. Yeah.
We'll see. Yeah, I mean,
It was PS4 was the 15th of November, and Xbox One was the 22nd.
Yeah, 1 week later, exactly. So they're coming, and I wanted to talk about these new PS5 details from Wired. And if you're wondering why are you bringing that up on an Xbox podcast, is because I want to talk about them in the context of Xbox and Scarlett and where we're going here. So Wired got another scoop here from Mark Cerny and on PlayStation 5. It was, first of all, they confirmed that it's called the PlayStation 5. Duh.
Shocker.
with a late 2020.
Wow.
Surprising no.
Yeah, there's and that's it. That's all they got. No, they've got plenty more than that. So the controller for PlayStation 5, presumably will be called the DualShock 5, will have haptic feedback, which Mark Cerny describes as, quote, highly programmable voice coil actuators located in the left and right grips of the controller, adaptive triggers that offer different levels of resistance with higher tension for things like pulling a bowstring in a game versus a machine gun trigger, USB-C charging with a higher capacity battery, and then the weight of the controller is said to be lighter than an Xbox One controller that has its batteries in it. So still, which the DualShock 4 now is very light compared to the, which, I mean, I like the kind of heft. I like a little, I mean, there's too much, but
Yeah.
for me, I don't know. I like the Xbox One controller, but
I think we can all say, probably, I'm assuming, can all say we like the Xbox One controller better than the PS5.
I think it's
I
No.
hate
No.
using the
It's the
DualShock.
best
I think
controller.
we've
Hate it.
talked about this
Yeah.
before.
I think so, too.
I like
let's
the
not go
DualShock
down
better.
this road.
It's fine. Yeah.
Get out.
Yeah.
No,
Xbox One controller is currently the best
It is the
controller ever
best.
made.
I think the Nintendo Pro controller is the best
Ooh,
controller.
okay.
I mean,
Wow.
it's a good,
is
it's a good controller.
It's a good controller.
The triggers, though, are not
yeah.
comparable to the Xbox.
It's not. It's not made for shit.
No.
I have a lot of problems, and a lot of them come down to my hands being very small, and so anyway, Xbox
Yeah.
is great.
So,
Love
plus the ray tracing that had previously been confirmed, Mark Cerny clarifying that is at the hardware level. That's not going to be a software trick. That is in the GPU, which is great news. And then on the storage side, 100 gigabyte Blu-ray optical disc. So I think that's the dual layer Blu-ray, if my memory serves. And it will have an optical drive that will play 4K Blu-rays, which of course the
Yeah,
Xbox One
standard.
S and X have been doing for years.
Yeah, I'd be shocked if that wasn't a
It's,
thing.
it's so funny that we're actually still going to get games on multiple discs next generation anyway, because there are
Absolutely.
already games over 100 gigs.
Yeah, Gears 5.
Gears 5, Forza 7.
And a lot of the big ones now. Game installation from discs is mandatory because of the difference in speed between the consoles. In other words, they're not saying you have to get a disc. It's just installation as it is now. You can't just play a game off of a disc, is
Right.
what that's saying. Installations will now be more customizable, with Cerny saying players could choose just to install a multiplayer mode, or allowing you to delete a campaign portion once you've finished it to free up space for other games, which is clever.
That's cool.
I like that. So, if you're a Call of Duty,
Nice change.
if you're just into multiplayer in Call of Duty, and next fall you don't care about Black Ops 5's campaign, looks like on PS5 you can choose to just not install the campaign.
Yeah, PC's been doing that for a while to
Yeah.
be able to launch just straight into whatever you want, or having just certain things install. So it's really cool that that's coming.
First
Now-
the DualShock, now the PC.
I know,
Where
right?
do your allegiances
fast.
lie?
I'm all over the place.
Mark's a multi-platform man,
Sorry,
but we
guys.
love him.
Yeah, we all are.
Renaissance man.
We all are. But
Yeah.
So let's talk about this stuff. So with the controller,
Yeah.
the Switch 2.5, almost 3 years ago, did HD Rumble. We got 1-2 Switch as a launch game. Almost nobody else has done anything with HD Rumble, and now even Nintendo, the Switch Lite doesn't have HD Rumble in it.
Yeah.
The haptic feedback stuff that PS5, the DualShock 5 is going to do. Xbox has implemented that in day one on the Xbox One controller 6 years ago. and outside of the Forza games, you can count the number of other games that have used the haptic trigger feedback on one hand. So
it's also very telling that in that article they said we got to test out the haptic with GT Sport, so it's like another racing.
Yeah.
another racing.
You know?
game, yeah.
Acceleration.
And like a Astrobot or something.
That's what they hacked together for this
Yeah,
demo.
they-
No, sorry, I
that's
don't
what
mean
they
hack
said
together
that.
in like a
No, I'm
negative
just saying
way,
that they
but-
didn't just play racing games.
Yeah.
But
Yeah. I mean, if you've ever played Forza with it, like it actually, the haptic stuff's really cool. That's my point, is that just nobody's used it. It is cool. Like if you slam on the brakes in Forza, like think about when you slam on the brakes in your car, which is hopefully not often, but you can feel the brakes grab.
Yeah.
Clamp down, yeah.
Right,
And
right.
and that's what you get, that same sensation when you slam on the brake with that haptic trigger in a Forza game. But so the DualShock 5 doing these things that other controllers have done. The question becomes, and I think it's a key question for the implementation of all this stuff: will Xbox also do these things in its new controller? Because we do know that current controllers on Xbox will be compatible. So how far will Microsoft go in pushing new stuff into the Scarlett default controller?
Yeah, it's hard to know. The bowstring, that stuff seems weird and breakable. But it's really hard with controllers, right? Because controllers are just so good nowadays that it's really hard to be like, here's the new controller and just be blown away. Because
That's the thing, like with the Elite 2, right? Like that came out and like, wow, that's a really cool
Well, it's
controller.
coming.
Out, yeah.
It's coming
Yeah,
in 1
I'm
month.
sorry. The
1 month.
the announcement
feels
came
great.
out.
Yeah.
yeah.
Feels really, really
Okay.
good. But again, like the step up from the Elite 1 to the Elite 2 was not as big as I thought it was going to be. So yeah, I think you nailed it on the head, man. Like,
I'm also not surprised to see them talk about the controller so much. If anybody remembers the PlayStation reveal from February of 2013, they didn't even show the console at that reveal. They only showed the controller.
don't remember.
There's a good chance that it's just because the console wasn't ready to be shown.
Yeah.
But that's where you had the Mark Cerny, like they were very much just like, here's our new controller. I don't want to say any of this is like gimmicks. Obviously, HD Rumble like is something that was here and then is gone. But it's like, it's pretty funny that it's like they're talking about devs will be able to do this and they'll be able to do that with the controller. But that kind of thing happened with the touchpad on the DualShock 4, and that got abandoned fairly quickly.
It's basically just a button.
It's just a
button.
It's the select
It's
button.
it's the exact same as that haptic feedback, right? Like
Right.
you could have done the variable draw strength on a bow with the Xbox controller in Tomb Raider, but they didn't, right? So it's
Well,
it's
and
up,
you
it's up to the
see-
developers.
Yeah, and you see that stuff at launch. I remember playing like Infamous, and it was like open this door, it was like sliding the thing. And it was like, it just completely went away. The only time you ever see it now is like I remember like even in Odyssey is if you open the map and you move it'll move your map.
I
But,
didn't-
like who wants to
I didn't
do
mess with
that?
it at all.
And then all of a sudden it weirdly came back in Days Gone, like to do all the menus with the swipe. But then you figure out it's because Days Gone been in development since like 2014.
Yeah.
So then
It's
No,
also
gotta
a first party.
Someone's got to use it first party, right?
right,
Yeah,
and it's first party.
and I imagine like a lot of your launch tiles, the mandates for what tiles, launch titles, the mandates for
It'll be like, please use.
yeah, it's like,
Also,
hey,
it's like-
we're really trying to showcase this.
A lot of big multi-platform games they can't do that because like how are we going to translate to that to Xbox or PC?
Yeah,
You don't.
that's a great point.
I'm very excited for USB-C. That's very cool. I'm glad because I like the Pro Controller. I like chargers that you don't have to. It doesn't matter what way you plug it in. Like the Lightning
simple.
port.
There
was
is no upside
amazing.
down.
We're
Exactly.
There
moving
is no
further away
upside
from
down.
USB. Yes.
Because it's like even still, it's like you plug in a PS4 and Xbox controller, and I always feel like I'm breaking it. And you're like, wait, am I doing this the right way? And you're like, okay, no.
To this day, if I plug in a USB cable
Micro,
the right way in the first time and don't have to flip it over,
Right.
I feel like I've won the lottery.
The
Like,
the rest of your day
just-
is smooth sailing.
I just
Actually,
like that it charges faster.
I threw one
Yeah,
away yesterday because it broke in my Xbox One controller.
Oh my
Really?
gosh.
Yeah, it's just it had been sitting on my desk with the thing plugged into it, the dongle, and then I guess it was just had pressure applied on it on one side. So when I pulled it out, it was like at an angle, and it stopped charging. Which is why I asked you if I could borrow yours yesterday.
Have
and-
they
But-
My home.
confirmed Scarlett's controller is going to be USB-C? Like you almost have to
not
assume
that
it's
not that
going.
particular detail,
Yeah.
but that you're getting towards what I wanted to kind of talk about here was
for it.
we know that the Elite Series 2 is coming in 1 month, and it is going to be compatible with the Scarlett. So you have to figure whatever the pack-in controller, standard controller is for Scarlett, well, it's not going to be Elite Series 2 good, because they're not going to just turn around and do an Elite Series 3 in a year from now, I don't think.
Oh, it took us so long to get this one.
Right. So, it's going to be some level below the Elite Series 2, I would imagine. But so that's what's leading me to call into question. Like, I wonder if the Scarlett controller will have the stuff that Sony's doing, or if it's going to be more or less just maybe a slight ergonomic iteration on what we have now.
Going down the list, is there anything in the upcoming DualShock that isn't covered by the Elite? Because I have to imagine
Does the Elite have a speaker? Like, because
So
that's
that's-
not like
That's
an
not
Xbox thing, right?
confirmed.
that's the only thing that I think the DualShock
the
does
speakers.
particularly better than the Xbox One is
Wait,
include that speaker.
You guys like the speaker on your DualShock?
Yeah.
Oh, I
Oh,
turned
no.
that
I
off.
don't,
Yeah, I don't
turn
turn
it
it
off.
I think
It
when it's
scares me.
used really well, in a game, like it is amazing. Like PT, that's
I think the
Terrifying.
only the one interesting implementation of it I've seen is if memory serves in GTA 5. The police radio will come.
the scanner. Yeah.
Yeah, we'll pipe out over that. Like I think if you've hijacked a squad car, I think
I don't remember.
It's interesting. I just forget about it, and there's no notifications like, "Hey, this is gonna make these noises." Just
Yeah.
so you know.
There
and
is-
then
there
like
is
I'm
that.
playing in the dark and it's quiet,
And
and
then
there's
you-
like this noise
you hear-
happening.
Mine's turned off because I remember I was playing something. I don't remember what it was, and all of a sudden, like my desk mate, Pat, tapped me on the shoulder, and he was like, "Hey, your controller's like doing some crazy."
I've
And I was
heard-
like,
I've-
"Oh, I didn't even."
Yeah.
know.
I've heard that from Janet too. I'm just like, "Hey, Janet, your controller's a little
Yeah.
loud."
Well, and it's the same thing at home. Like, my wife sits 5 feet from me, and so if she's watching TV and I'm just sitting there with headphones on playing a game, and it's just like, right, there's Death Stranding, the baby's gonna cry.
I know.
It's gonna be
I'm
weird.
excited. I'm excited to
I'll
hear the
probably
BB.
turn it on just to hear it, but for the
BB.
most part, it's like,
Yeah.
eh.
Yeah, I think like a third speaker, right? If you imagine left, right, and then the one on your controller, you can do all kinds of really cool
The
stuff.
speaker
with it.
thing's fine.
Yeah.
Um,
I would like to see it on the next.
In the Wired report, there was the thing about a microphone potentially in the controller. It was unconfirmed, but there was a
Right.
hole that looked like it was a microphone.
Yeah.
I just want the 35 millimeter. Just continue to use that.
Oh, right.
Oh.
3.5.
Oh, I'm sorry, 3.5 millimeter.
35 minutes.
The headphone
Yeah.
jack.
I just want to jam it in there.
The
But,
fact that you can just plug a headphone jack into a controller, like,
Well, you can do
Xbox-
that on the
You can do
Xbox.
that, the
Right,
newer
Yeah.
ones.
but
Yeah.
not the first gen. And
Right.
then they were like,
So
that is
that's-
a
yeah,
great
they fixed
idea.
it.
And so they heard
That's
that.
the thing. Is like
That
you had to buy that
needs
adapter.
One of many mistakes from the Xbox One launch era was having the
But
proprietary.
most people don't even remember it. Like, they rectified that
pretty quickly.
pretty quickly.
Yeah.
But yeah, so that's the thing. It's and the Elite Series 1 did have, and I guess the Series 2, it does have the adjustable triggers where you can set like hair trigger versus
tension.
full
Yeah,
press.
really great for-
But I don't think it can do. I guess, and I think haptic does allow for the tension as well. So, I mean, if the default Scarlett controller is going to match the DualShock 5, it's going to have to borrow some stuff from the $180
Sure.
Elite Series 2. So that's what I'm curious of is what, how much of an upgrade is the Scarlett controller going to be off of the forward compatible Xbox One controllers that we already have. I mean, it is a great controller. And the thing is, if they don't implement similar or identical stuff that DualShock 5 is doing, we can probably, again, just like this generation, count on very few games and almost no third-party games
Right.
implementing any of those features. So it feels like it's either Sony and Microsoft both have to do it, or else gamers will not really benefit on a wide.
It sounds
wide
kind of
level.
nuts. It makes me wonder if controllers are going to stay $65.
No way.
Like, they're sounding
The Pro controller's 70.
Tech-wise.
Every generation, the controllers have gone up in price. The 360 controllers were $50. The Xbox One controllers were $60. And I have zero doubt that DualShock 5 and whatever Scarlett's controller are going to be $70.
where the Pro controller is.
And to be fair, they are better every generation. They have more and more stuff. Like if you compare an Xbox One controller to a 360, like you can see and
yeah.
feel a difference.
What's the launch date on the Elite 2?
November 4th.
Okay.
I just looked this up today. Yeah, so
you essentially are getting the Elite 2 a year before next gen comes out,
yes.
roughly. Part of me wonders if we should spare a thought for the idea that they just continue to move forward with their basic standard level Xbox One controller and then let the Elite 2 be what it is. Because if you buy an Elite 2 in November and an Xbox 2 or an Xbox in November 2020, like how much life are you getting out of that before you have another controller that you're using?
That's a fair question. Although I would say that the power users that are going to be spending $180 like us
Probably don't care.
are going to, are not going to be bothered
point.
by
I
that.
have so many games to play in between now
a
and
really good
then
point.
that I would rather have that. So, I don't know. Since I've been using my Elite, like I don't like using other controllers.
I'm with you.
I love my Elite so much.
Even the A button on my Elite is like not great anymore. Like it's sort of sticky, but I still I just don't. I will just keep using it because I like it so much more than the regular controller.
We're definitely in the phase where hardware is going to start being like kind of strange. I've had a few people, you were one of them. Are you getting that Death Stranding PS4? and there's a Last of Us PS4, I assume. And like things are going to come out and it's like, it's always going to be weird now that these like basically have release dates. And so it's like the same with like controllers, and it's like, do I want to? Because I'm the same way. Like my DualShock 4 is feeling kind of like it's doing this thing where when I click it feels squishy.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I think I need to just go buy a new one. And unless there's like a good Black Friday deal or something, because I can wait till then.
There usually is.
Which there usually is. It's kind of like, man, what's the point? Like it's already getting. I know a year is a long time.
It's like unless you're a big collector or something, like getting these especially these Elite editions and just nicer upgrades or like special models of consoles, like it's just weird right now.
Yeah. I mean, they moved from a functional sort of piece of technology to a collector's item. That you show off.
And I fully intend on selling. Like I have an Xbox One X, I have two PS4s, and my intention is to just sell everything because everything should be backwards compatible.
Should be.
And so, and I have to buy like
two of everything.
So much stuff.
Yeah.
Two of everything.
I don't. So we were talking this before the show, but as it stands right now, like I have zero incentive to buy the PS5 at launch other than for work purposes.
I agree.
I think I'm probably going to hold off because I'm obviously going to play all my third-party stuff on the Xbox or on PC. So I don't really have a reason at this point to like jump on the PS5. And of course, we're still early in this whole
we didn't even know any of the launch titles.
Don't
It goes
know
without
anything,
saying that we don't know what the lineup's going to
but
look like.
also we were saying it's like I don't have anything that I can think of off the top of my head as far as Sony IPs go that would entice me to buy at launch anyway.
Right.
You'll likely get.
I'm obviously on the show, but you know.
You'll likely get The Last of Us 2 Game of the Year edition. You'll get Ghost of Tsushima cross-generational version, I imagine, if it launches as well.
Good chance.
And then you're looking forward to like we were saying, Spider-Man 2 and
Down the road.
We're at this weird point with Sony though, where a lot of their bigger games are already out. Like the ones that they were hyping, the ones we were excited for, they're out or they're out early next year. So which is exciting for us because now it's like Microsoft's turn in the spotlight because like we've got all this cool stuff coming out, and I'm very excited for it. And I'm just
and that's obviously we're going to talk so much more about launch lineups over the coming year,
for sure.
But yeah, that's what we were saying. It's like trying to piece together like, all right, well, what might the PS5 launch lineup look like? And we figure both of these consoles are almost certainly going to be at least $500. So I personally am only probably because I also need to get a 4K. I want to really want to get a 4K TV.
Me too.
But I want I don't want to just get like the $300.
Sure.
It's a good investment.
Right. I'm gonna have to mount it on the wall. Like I want to get a nice one that's gonna last. Like I've had my current Panasonic Plasma for this entire generation, and it's been great. So I'm probably only going to do one console at launch, and for me, it's going to be Xbox, and not just because a few reasons. One, if there's any power discrepancy at all this time between the two of them, my money is on the Xbox being slightly more powerful because I think Microsoft is just determined not to lose that battle ever again. So there's that, number one. Number two, the software, the launch lineup, we know for a fact Halo Infinite is a day one launch title. And if it's amazing, which we all want it to be, and what they've shown so far looks great, then, for the people that will come into next holiday on the fence, like, all right, I think I want to upgrade to one of these. Which one should I go with? Like, because hey, people went from PS2 to largely 360, and then a lot of people went, again, kind of in the mass from 360 to PS4. So it's like, all right, so if this time you've got that choice. If they're the same price, they're pretty similar power. Halo is a potentially awesome system-selling day one game that Sony's. I mean, we're struggling to figure out what day one launch killer kind of game they might have. So there's a major potential, plus Game Pass, which we've talked about ad nauseum.
Yeah.
Unless Sony, I mean, they damn well should, if they're smart, announce something similar to launch into PS5, if not sooner. But Game Pass and Halo Infinite is and hopefully probably the horsepower parity or advantage is going to be making a pretty nice case for Microsoft come fall 2020.
I actually saw a commercial, I think it was during Sunday Football, one of the games, for PlayStation Now, which I hadn't seen in a long time.
It's because they just changed it a bunch.
Did they
That's
really?
right.
They're trying to
Made
push it.
cheaper.
They changed the
Yeah.
price. Well, yeah, okay. So that's actually true. They just changed the price. The only other change is that they put a bunch of other games
They
on.
added
That's not
some
an actual
games that'll
change.
be on there temporarily.
Yeah.
Okay.
So until
That
anyway.
was my biggest. We have a huge Slack there going on. It was like questions we want answered from just because it's PlayStation 5 day, and I was like, they really got to figure out this like answer to Game Pass eventually. PlayStation Now still not it. Like even though it's only $10, it's $10 for like you get God of War and Uncharted, but like that's only till January, and it's not day and date. Like I was scrolling through the comments earlier for the PS5 announcement, and people were saying that it's like I was reminded that like Outer Worlds is like a Game Pass launch title,
Launching
And I'm
right
like,
into
oh
Game
man, I totally forgot
It's
about that.
so
I totally
good.
forgot that like I don't have to buy Outer Worlds. Like I just play it on Game Pass.
Well, what's crazy is it's not just like it's third-party stuff as well. I mean, Outer Worlds is a third-party game, technically.
Sort of, yeah.
But like Outer Wilds, just sense of
Outer
theme.
Wilds.
That was launched as well.
Yeah, but like Metal Gear 5, like they is on there now, and that's my first interaction with it. So there's a ton of stuff on there, and when you say they got to figure out like what their answer to that is going to be, I almost feel like Game Pass was created to not really have an answer to it without just spending a ton of money.
Right, without PlayStation just being like, okay, fine,
and
we're
that's-
doing the same thing,
well-
and all of our first-party games are.
And that's the thing, is like
ding.
Microsoft's got a shitload of money to spend on acquisitions and
Did
bringing.
you know that you're always the one that curses every time? Every week? It's
not.
always you.
Welcome back.
You just said damn.
Oh, yeah. Call the FCC.
Well, apparently, I one slipped through in a review in the Ghost Recon review in progress. I used the S word. I'm actually a little.
That's barely a curse word.
And Dan was like, "No, we're going to leave it in because times are changing." So.
Yeah. But
I can picture Dan
goodness.
saying that.
so other for as far as other stuff where we're sort of looking at what now we know PS5's doing and what we know Scarlett's doing. We don't know if presumably will be the same 100 gig discs. I mean, I think they're just going to have to be because they're going to be running the same games, the same caliber of games. But we already know they're both Scarlett's also they're both doing the minimize or eliminate loading times thing. So they're both doing that. They're both doing the hardware level ray tracing. So I mean, these are going to be
This is
two
some pretty
really fun
consoles.
consoles to see what they're capable of.
I can't wait for the reveal events.
Yeah.
Yeah, me too.
And those, I do not think that we have long to wait. Like
No,
I think those
I
are going to
agree.
be
Early next
February,
year.
March.
Yeah.
Well, it was
They're going to be before E3, so that way when they get to E3, they can talk about
100%.
video
Right.
games.
It was February 2013 for PS4. Microsoft waited until May.
Yeah.
And there's no way they're gonna
No.
let Sony have all the mind share and discussion for 3 months again.
Yeah.
So I suspect those two events will happen relatively close to each
coming.
other.
Now, would we consider today's news the reveal of the PS5?
No.
You think?
No.
I wouldn't.
I wonder when Xbox, the next Xbox, is going to be officially sort of revealed like this, because, like you said, they don't want
Like
to
this or officially?
like this.
Oh, like this
like
more.
They don't.
Some tiny bits of information.
Yeah, they don't want to lose the news cycle to PS5, and this is the second time it's happened.
Well,
Keep that in
Thi-
mind.
This is like a release date reveal.
Sure.
The other
we
one
already got
was
for
like
Xbox.
hey, this is a thing,
Right.
Which whatever, and then a name reveal,
and it
obviously.
loads so much faster. But we've
Yeah.
just spent 20 minutes talking about the PlayStation 5 on an Xbox podcast.
Sure.
Well, again, in the context of the next Xbox.
Yeah.
But like moving forward, as more of these little tidbits of information come out, like the news cycle picks them up.
Well, we do. I mean, we've got XO19 coming up in a month and change. That could be a good opportunity for them to grab some of the.
What else would
those
they
headlines.
have? What would they be able to? What's a headline for them? They've already revealed name, I guess, but
The name.
they've already revealed
They can talk
the
about
release.
controllers. They can talk
Yeah,
about
that's
other optics. Like there's
that's
like
great.
so many little details. That's what PlayStation's doing right now. Like they talked about, yes, this is coming. Here are some hardware details.
It exists.
That's it.
Release.
Yeah.
And then this
Little
time it's like,
drip feed.
well, yes, it
It
is
loads
called
fast.
the PlayStation 5.
And
We
it-
have a controller. We're not
There's a
naming it yet.
controller.
It doesn't have a name, guys. It really doesn't. But it has these rumble features and stuff. Like it's just like a trickle, right? It's
Yeah.
just like these small things. It's not the big reveal, but it's enough to get us talking.
Breaking news: the Scarlett won't even have a controller. You'll control it with your mind.
Please,
Zero input
It
lag.
plugs
Please.
right in.
Yeah, zero input.
There's an
lag.
input. but
Sure,
there's no
I'll
lag.
take it.
Competitive players will have to play on Xbox because their brain is faster than a DualShock 5.
Mine's not.
All right. All
goose.
right. That's everything. So, yeah, boy, we're already short on time. So let's do, definitely want to cover this. Doom Eternal, one of the big fall games, was due out November 22nd, has been pushed back to about 4 months to March 20th. id Software saying they want to take some more time to polish this one up, which again, I know this is just a broken record, but great. There's no problem here.
I have a problem.
You have a problem?
I don't think it's a biggie
I
here.
manage wikis.
That's fair.
We want it this year.
Well,
It's tough
Well,
because
the thing is we're about to go over the list, but like next winter, like early spring is just packed.
bananas.
I was
Spring is messed
talking
up.
earlier, and I was like, man, I was really wanting Doom this year because this fall is not as packed
So-
as
You're right.
spring is.
Yeah.
It's not only that, but also like we were just talking about like console reveal stuff. That's gonna happen earlier. We're gonna have more news. We're gonna have so much to do early next year, which I think is great for everybody except for us.
the first half of 2020 is going to be incredible.
Yeah.
Probably if these games deliver, which on their potential. Miranda, what is the release cadence? What are we looking at here?
So for what we have written down right now, for PS4 is February. We got The Last of Us 2, but we also have Ori 2 in
Yes.
February, which is very exciting.
A major Xbox release, absolutely, first party.
What's great are those games are different enough
Yes.
to not have to
Oh,
worry
I'll be
about
playing both.
a
Yeah.
lot of competition between
Yeah.
the two as one or the other.
Yeah. And then March we have Doom, which it moved to. Technically Animal Crossing as well, very different.
Yes.
And then Watch Dogs Legion. And then April we have Cyberpunk, which will consume all of our lives, I'm
Yep.
sure. And then Avengers is in May. So
I think this is
You're also
really
missing Final Fantasy 7 is in there.
Yeah, well, again, Xbox show. I gave them one with Last of Us.
yeah, we're kind of like
I mean, it's a remake. It's a remake of a 20-year-old game.
to be fair.
it's a remake of episode 1 of a 20-year-old game.
Of the first 20%.
Yes.
Where's Nanaki? Anyway.
I know it'll be a big deal, but for the purposes of this discussion,
Yeah, I mean, well, the reason we bring up so much PlayStation stuff is because we obviously all care about multi-platform stuff.
course.
Like we play all the things, but Xbox is number one for us.
of course.
Where we play our
So yeah, I mean, between you've got at least one huge game every month.
Yeah.
From February to May. January, I did look at the list. January, there are a few games coming out, but nothing like blockbuster, nothing on this caliber.
Where's Ooblets?
They're right down the street. Go ask
a
Greg
great
Rice
question.
down at Double Fine.
Doom
Not-
is
they're
weird
not
because
publishing anymore.
Oh, no, then never mind. I'm not sure.
Doom is weird because that was a big Stadia thing.
Yeah.
And now
Yeah,
Stadia
they were-
Oh,
is going to be
right.
out in November with no Doom.
Yeah.
Well, they'll have Doom 2016
There you go.
and Red Dead Red Dead 2.
Yeah, every time that I've like sort of set up an appointment to see Stadia, it's always been running Doom Eternal or like an early version of it to really show off like how great the connection is to support this fast, frenetic kind of gameplay. So yeah, it'll be interesting to see. Like if the preview marketing for like play Doom on your Stadia, it was enough to get people to adopt it, and then now they're waiting until March to actually play it.
do it.
Yeah, I mean, let me just remind Xbox fans of what you still have to deal with, even without Doom this fall. If you haven't played Gears 5 yet, you should. It's
Play
fantastic.
Gears
There's Star Wars Jedi Fallen Order, which is November 15th, what was going to be the week before Doom Eternal. There's The Outer Worlds launching into Game Pass. That's towards the end of October, 25th? I believe.
It's in a few weeks.
Yeah. Call of Duty Modern Warfare, which I'm super stoked for the campaign. I'm for the first time in a number of years. I want to see
So I've been playing Crucible in Destiny 2.
Yeah.
I hate it. I hate it so much. And I'm just like, please, I'm ready for Call of Duty.
You're ready. Miranda's ready.
It's so bad.
It's a good thing Destin's not here today.
Yeah.
Oh no, I could tell him what. There's
Somewhere.
so many. If he doesn't agree with me, there's so many bad things about it.
Really?
Destin just had a heart palpitation somewhere.
I
His
really
ears
like
are tingling.
Destiny. I greatly like Destiny 2. Crucible's bad. Anyway.
So yeah, you've got plenty of things. So yeah, of the games I just mentioned, all of them, but yeah, I think 3 of them that I mentioned were all Game Pass games. Yeah, Jedi Fallen Order is EA access, not Game Pass.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, you could just jump right into Gears, jump right into Outer Worlds, and yeah, it's you got plenty to keep you covered this fall.
Yeah.
Also, Outer Wilds, which has been out.
It's been
You
out.
should play.
Game Pass.
Gonna keep saying it.
All right, we're running out of time because
Before I know we're running out of time. I'm sorry to cut you off.
Please go ahead.
You had this October 2019 Xbox update features list.
I did. I was gonna hit that.
Okay, perfect.
Go ahead. Yeah, I was gonna cut the rest.
Okay, perfect.
Yes, please take
I
it
had
away.
a segue.
Please take it away, Miranda. Yes.
So there's this great new feature coming where you can recommend an Xbox Game Pass title. And so for anyone who's on my friends list or in the community that I'm in, be ready to be spammed with Outer Wilds recommendations.
There it is.
That was just in
Look,
case.
I told you I'm going to play it eventually.
You got to do it, guys.
I know. Everything everyone's saying about it sounds great.
I'm
but
ready to be hated for this. I just need you guys to play it.
You're going to die on this hill.
I will. People keep tweeting to me and they're like, "Oh, I'm so glad that you recommended this because I played it and had a great time."
Yeah. Hey, I'm with you. I'm the guy that was championing Inside for the last 3 years, so I'm 100% with you.
Yeah, when we champion these games,
Champion
it's
what you love
for a reason.
Yeah.
It's not just because I kind of like it.
Well, Miranda, so we got an October Xbox dashboard update. That's not the only new feature coming. There were, I think, a couple of other. In fact, this first one, as a dad, really appeals to me. If you want to go over the rest of these.
So the first one, you can limit your time with family settings for apps and games.
Rather than just the system itself.
Yes.
Yeah.
So specifically, it's like, okay, well, you can only play an hour of this online thing, but you can have 2 hours with this puzzle game.
With Outer Wilds?
Yeah. 1 hour Fortnite,
Infinite time.
2 hours of Outer Wilds.
Infinite time with Outer Wilds. I'm giving you all permission right now. Your parents can come talk to me.
Oh my God.
I'll talk to parents. Oh, it's fine. I'm
All right.
an adult.
I can't wait to see your Twitter notifications.
They're usually fine. You can also have wishlist notifications, so you can receive notifications, as it kind of is implied, whenever something that you have added to your wish list goes on sale.
See, I like that. That's cool.
I have those with Steam. It's very helpful. It's like, I really wanted to play this for a while, but I kind of just needed to wait on it. So now you get that.
It's the feature for those games that are like, I'll wait till it's on sale. Yeah. And now you don't have to obsessively check.
Yeah. And then, of course, again, recommend the Xbox Game Pass. And there's so many games on Game Pass. Please recommend them to people who don't know what else to play.
Yeah.
Good stuff. Man. And then some mixer viewing improvements as well. So, yeah, more continual improvements to the Xbox dashboard, the Xbox ecosystem. Again, I know, not to beat the dead horse, but just look how far we're 6 years into this generation. Look how much, it's night and day what the Xbox One entire experience from the box to the controller to the dashboard to the headset accessories to what it was 6 years ago to what it is now on the same console, same platform. It is just remarkable the turnaround. I'm not talking to Siri. What is she doing? we've come a long, long way within a single console generation on Xbox.
They did exactly what they needed to do. They lost pretty quickly out of the gate, and they realized there wasn't a whole lot they could do to catch up this gen. So they built out an ecosystem that now
Phil Spencer rode in on a horse. He's like,
just a big white horse,
"Got you guys."
Bill in armor, and just
Actually, it was
mandating.
more of just hog tying Don Matrick, throwing him in the trunk of the car.
Oh, I don't know.
And then just putting a rod down on the gas pedal, closing the door, and just sending it off a cliff.
Maybe we shouldn't make that joke because no one knows where he is.
He's rich as hell in Canada. He's
Somewhere.
fine.
Yeah.
He's just
I wish I had the exact number in front of me, but I remember reading
his
the golden parachute
yeah.
number he got for leaving Zynga was absurd.
Right.
I mean, it was like,
that.
and he was already a wealthy guy, like, and not that he hasn't, or he's done, he's been an executive for a long time, but like, wow, that guy got paid to go away.
Mm-hmm.
Must be nice. How do I attain that?
Like, where gonna say?
Like,
to leave.
just where they will pay me an absorbent amount of money to go away.
Is that an option?
That'd be really
didn't know
great.
that.
Is it? I don't know. How do you get that gig?
All right, we can cover
jokes that
we can cover the rest next week. It is it's after 1. Let's see. I guess
gonna get
while
yelled
we're
at.
all here, suck it, Destin. Sorry, buddy.
You wanna do it?
Let's do trivia real fast because we're running out of opportunities this year to do a little trivia, and so in fact, here let's do a little of this. Got to get the bumper in there. I don't play the bumpers enough.
We're still on camera.
So,
good.
yeah, it's all good.
Well, listen.
Brett Yamada writes in and asks, as you probably know, when you encounter a flipped vehicle in the Halo franchise, you're presented with a message of hold X to flip whatever the vehicle's name is. Halo 3, if you guys remember the Elephant, the largest vehicle, the largest user-operatable vehicle to ever be in the Halo universe thus far, had a, if you managed to flip it, there was a particularly special Easter egg message in there. Do you recall that message? Was it A, hold X to flip? Wait, what? How did you do that? Was it hold X to flip? Huh? That's impossible? Was it, yeah, good luck with that? Or, well, looks like you broke the game. I don't know if anybody remembers this or wants to take a shot.
I do, because it was on the sand level.
Yes.
Yeah, I remember the level. But I never flipped it.
So I've actually seen this before. I remember encountering this, and I cannot remember what
You
it
flipped
said.
it?
Like, I didn't do it on purpose, but I ran up to a flipped one.
How did you do that?
I don't know. Someone probably shot me real good.
As it happens.
Brandon?
As it happens, I'm gonna go with A because
Going with A.
I think it was A. It was either. No, I'm not gonna give anyone.
All right.
I was gonna go with A because I think it's funny.
Okay.
I like that one the best.
Yeah.
You're gonna
Sure.
go with Brandon on
Yeah.
this one?
I really hate this. So my deduction's a little different. Nothing's impossible for the chief. You could say, yeah, good luck with that, but it's the chief. You wouldn't say
Nothing's
that to him.
impossible
That's
for the
rude.
chief.
So I think, and D doesn't feel very in line with how they write. So I was going to go with A as
Yeah.
well.
Okay, so everybody's united in A, and Destin is not here, so that works to your guys' advantage because you are all correct.
Yes.
Well done.
I was like,
Miranda at 8 points
Yay,
to
I'm
Destin's 10.
getting there.
Brandon at 5.
Wow, God, I've missed
Hanging
so
around.
many shows
Yeah.
this year.
Mark at 3.
Please just cheer me on. Give me your points.
I almost can't
do that.
I know.
You tried to do that last year.
I
and it didn't
know.
work.
It doesn't work. guys.
Brett, thank you very much for that question. If you have
That's a great question.
an Xbox trivia question for the panel, you'd like to try and stump them, please send it to me at unlocked@ign.com. Put the question in there, the 4 multiple choice answers, and please note the correct one in your email as well. And that brings us to the end of another good, hopefully good episode. I had fun.
Yeah.
Episode of
Yeah.
Podcast Unlocked. Palindromatic episode 414. You can find me on Twitter at DMC_Ryan. I gave you my shameless promotion at the top. Please check out Unfiltered. I'm very proud of it. I will, as long as I don't forget, which I can't rule out, I'll put the audio at the end of this, but please go check out the video. It looks really fun, looks really good. You can watch Sean and I drink and me attempt to bartend. It didn't really go well.
To like pour.
To pour, yeah, it didn't go great.
Oh no.
Mark,
Yeah.
Promote?
Yeah, you can find me at Wendy's.
Still
not this
Wendy's.
Mark.
No, nothing to promote because it's without being able to say why, this is my last week where I'm not gonna have to work 24/7 for like a month straight. So I'm just chilling right now.
Good for you.
Just chilling.
Yep.
Hanging out.
Calm before the storm.
That's over on Monday. Party's over.
Party's over.
Or the party begins. The party begins.
Brandin?
Yeah, you can find me on Twitter at Brandin Tyrell. Stay tuned tomorrow for my full scored Ghost Recon Breakpoint review. My brain just stopped working at some point. Also, all month long, Ryan and I have been putting up IGN First, just sort of a compilation month where we're highlighting cool games we think you should keep your eye on. So today was an awesome little horror adventure game called Mosaic, but we've touched on some Kerbal Space Program stuff, and I can't remember if it's published yet or if it's upcoming, so I'm just going to stop talking.
Fair enough.
But yeah, check out IGN First all month long.
Miranda, take us home.
All right. You can follow me at Havoc Rose, and it's Havoc with a K kind of anywhere. I don't really have a lot to promote at this moment. Still just kind of finishing up some old stuff that hopefully goes up soon. Definitely check it out Unfiltered. So I will promote that for Ryan again. I'm just the person that repeats things that you should be watching. Again, going back to that rule of 7 we were talking about on the spoiler cast. But watch Unfiltered.
Fantastic. All right. Thank you, everybody, and we will see you next week.